God.
Hello.
We're in person.
I can't believe it.
I know.
In my house.
In her new home that we promised she'd make it into. She's
We
here.
did eventually make it.
She's here and I'm here.
And
And
you're here.
it just took us
Way too
7
long.
years to set all this up.
But we're here and we're ready to go. Hopefully that wasn't like a indication of how the new year will go.
Yeah. Yeah. I fucking hope not. We're going to be
Maybe we
renting a
should
studio
change the
after this.
topic. Well, welcome back to another episode of Socially Unfiltered. This is going to be our New Year goals episode. So we'll just talk a little bit about what we're planning to do in the new year, some goals that we have set. Because I'm not like I don't like the term New Year's resolution because I feel like that
Yeah, I don't even
sounds.
love goals because, like I was just telling you before this recording, if you haven't read Atomic Habits yet, you need to, or like listen to the audiobook because, like, that's what I'm doing because I can't fucking focus on a book. But I was reading it, and this is what I wanted to bring up, and it's in my notes.
And while she's pulling that up, follow us on Instagram at Socially Unfiltered Pod.
Okay, so he basically says for the new year, everyone's always like, oh, I have goals. Like, I want to lose 20 pounds, and that's your goal. Or, like, I want to learn how to ice skate. That's your goal. But what are the systems that you're going to have in place to get to complete those goals? Because it's one thing everybody has a goal to make X amount of money, or like everybody wants. No, I shouldn't say everybody, but like say me and you, we have the same goal of maybe building a business, and we both are like at the exact same timeline. Like we both say I have systems of how I'm going to get there, but you just think about it and you're like, I just have a goal. Like, yeah, I want to get there, but I have no plan or like any idea what I'm actually going to do to get to that goal or like to complete it. But I do. I have systems in place, and like in month 1, this is what I'm going to do. In month 2, this
Yeah.
is what I'm going to do to like push me forward. So he says like you need systems, not goals. He said goals create an either or. Like you can either achieve it or you don't, and then you're just disappointed because there's no in between. Like it's
Right.
between right now and then my goal, and there's nothing in between there. I just know I want to get there.
Yeah.
So I love that he said that. So he's like, a systems first helps you enjoy the journey, which helps you feel happy during all of it instead of waiting until you hit the goal to be happy. And then he says, like, people work out for months and then they get there, they no longer keep going because there's nothing else to chase. Like,
Yeah.
you have to keep constantly setting those goals. So, those are like the few things that I like noted while I was listening to the book. And I think that's so fucking true.
It is. And I can't remember if it's the book Atomic Habits or where I kind of like gathered this mindset, but have you ever heard, or I mean, obviously you've probably heard of it, but it's a term called reverse engineering your goals.
Yeah.
So, like, look at your goal and be like, what would the last thing be before I hit this goal? Like, what's the last thing that I would need to do? What's the second to last thing? What's the third to last thing? And you like kind of work backwards to figure out your exact plan to get there. But that was kind of where I was going with I don't love the whole like New Year's resolution because it's like
Yeah.
this is just like the first one that comes to my head. Like, you're going to quit something. Like, I'm going to quit this bad habit. If you go back to that habit, it almost like puts you in that mindset of like, well, I fucked up. Like, I might as well just
Yeah.
keep up with this bad habit,
Yeah.
which is why I kind of wanted to turn it more to like goals. But goals and resolutions pretty much are the same thing. So it's not like really any different, but I totally know what you mean. Like, it's better to go into it with the plan of what
Yeah.
you want to do rather than being like, this is the one thing that I'm going to achieve. And I think, like, don't get me wrong, I think you do kind of need to know where that end goal is, but it's really important to also acknowledge that there's going to be steps to that and to appreciate when you check something off of your to-do list towards that goal, not just celebrating when you get to that goal.
And so many of your goals, like you said, come from habits. Like, it's actually not a like a task you're doing. It's creating a daily habit of getting to that goal. So like if I was say my goal is like to lose weight. I don't know. I just always think of that one because I feel like that's what everyone's resolutions always are. So like say it's to lose weight. what habits are you going to set up for yourself? And in this book, like he does talk about like the cue, the habit, like the reward, the cue.
Mhm.
So like if every single morning, which I fucking do this, like I'm sure people do, but like you wake up and you grab for your phone and you go on TikTok, like he says, write down all the habits that you do now that are good, that are bad, that you want to like, get rid of. So, like, say grabbing your phone in the morning and scrolling on TikTok instead of just like getting up and then making your coffee and going to the gym, like, that's a habit that you do every single day. And now it's become so unconsciously like
It's just
something you
something you
just
do.
do. So, that's like something you just do. You grab your phone and go on TikTok instead. How can you make it so you don't do that in the morning? Well, you can't just be like, oh, tomorrow I just won't do that. Cause like you just end up doing it. Like I know I do. I'm like, I won't scroll TikTok. I'm just going to get up and like do a workout. And I never do because it's right there and it's so easy. Bad habits are so fucking easy to just be like, it's right there. Like I'll just grab it. So instead, he's like, put your phone in like the
I
kitchen.
was just gonna say, I
So you
couldn't
gotta,
remember if you talked about it in
yeah,
there,
he
but like
did.
you have to look at like how do I make this not easily accessible for
Yes.
myself?
Yeah.
Physically remove your phone from the room.
Like physically make things accessible for
Mhm.
like setting up your good habits. So like if you're
Yes.
saying you want to save money, like literally put jars around the room where it says like money on it or something and you
Mhm.
throw in cash to those jars. Or like if you have trouble drinking water every single day, put water bottles in every single room so it's not like a hassle for you to be like, oh, I have to go to the kitchen, fill up my water.
Right.
He's like,
It's
you
right
need to
there.
make it so obvious for yourself, whether it's like, oh, you play too many video games, like hide the remote controller and make sure you have to plug it in every single time you want
Mhm.
to play it.
Like make it
Bec-
annoying for
yes,
yourself to
so you
wanna do
don't
that
want to
thing.
do it. It's like not about just being like, I'm just not going to do that anymore. It's like
Mhm.
smoking cigarettes. You can't just quit. Like,
Mhm.
I mean, maybe people can. That's like really strong willed people if you're
Makes
like
you wanna like
that.
rip your hair out, but yeah.
Yeah, like go for it if that's the kind of person you
Mhm.
are. But I feel like a lot of people struggle with that. So,
Mhm.
yeah, just making it not accessible, I guess,
Mhm.
to you. And I think I'm gonna start doing that, like putting my phone in the kitchen so when my
Mhm.
alarm goes off, I can just
You
get up
physically have to
because
get
it's
up.
so annoying. You're like, I need this to stop.
Yeah.
And then you're already up. So what am I gonna do? Like, I mean, I could go back into bed. Probably not.
Mhm. Something else too, and this is kind of something that we would talk a lot about to people in the fitness industry is like it's kind of hard when people have such a set goal of like I need to lose 10 pounds for a lot of different reasons, like without getting like too far into it, but your body, like you could gain weight but lose fat because muscle weighs more than fat. So it's hard when people are like, my set goal is to lose 10 pounds because your goal isn't actually to lose 10 pounds, it's to like lean out
Feel better.
and feel better.
That's
So
the main goal.
something that we would tell a lot of people would always see like January was the busiest month. Like there were hundreds of new people coming into our gym in January. Something we would tell people is like literally hide your scale or get rid of it. Like it is no longer about those 10 pounds. It's about you creating the habit of showing up, going to the gym, and eventually you will sustain that habit long enough that eventually one day you'll wake up and be like, oh my God, I feel better.
I don't have to
My
think about it
clothes
anymore. I'm
fit
just
different.
doing it.
You're
Yeah.
not fixating on the number of it. And like, don't get me wrong, it's definitely good to have smart goals, like things that you can measure and tangible results that you can see. But a lot of people, this is just saying like the weight one specifically, like if your goal is not to lose 10 pounds, it has nothing to do. Like maybe it does. Maybe in your head, you're like, I need to see below a certain number on the scale. But if you still feel like shit and your clothes still don't fit different, what the fuck does it matter what number is on that scale?
Hmm.
But again, don't get me wrong, it is important to track things like that, just like see where your progress is. But more often than not, it's about the habits that you're building and how you feel. And it's not necessarily like, okay, I need to hit a $10,000 month and I'll be happy.
Yeah. Like, why do you want
Why?
that?
Because
Do you want more flex?
spending money, do you want to go
Right.
on a
Is your
vacation?
rent increasing? So you're like, oh, I feel like I need
Yeah.
more income in my life, or
Mhm.
like you want to hire a team. So
Mhm.
then you're trying to make more money. You're trying to build a business. Like there's so much more than just the surface level, like goals. And that's
Mhm.
why I just hate writing a list that's like so basic. Like I feel like I
Mhm.
do write things down like before the new year. Like I'll sit down and I know like you do this too. Like
Mhm.
write down actionable things of like, why do I want this? So like
Mhm.
I want to make X amount of money this year because I want to be able to travel more. Or
Mhm.
like that's where like my I don't know, like not passion, but like that's where I like to put money is like the
Mhm.
travel and experiences. So like I want to do more of those and
Mhm.
that requires more money, but
Mhm.
also like finding more clients I think that are going to be like what's the word I'm looking for? I can't ever find words.
Yes, you can.
I
I
can't
feel like
think
what you're trying to say
like
is
high quality clients, but like
people
just
that are more like helping you move towards that goal. Like they're
yeah.
better fit for
Yeah.
you working towards that goal.
Yeah.
Not like convenience.
No. I just think like aligned clients. I think
Yes.
that's what
That's
not just the money aspect, but like that will come too when you're attracting the
mhm.
clients that align more with your brand and your business.
Mhm.
So I think that's what brains not braining. That's what I meant to say.
Our brains haven't been braining for 2.5
Last night,
days.
y'all, was a
A
movie.
movie. Wild. Project X here in Charleston.
Yeah, we went to a Christmas party.
A little Christmas party.
I'm feeling that Christmas party still.
I really am too. I need to like drink some water
No
right now.
amount of water right now. I
Is
feel
gonna
like my
hydrate me.
body is just like
A dry
soaking in it.
sponge.
I don't have to go to the bathroom. It's been hours because I don't know where it's going.
I woke up in the middle of the night and I literally like I chugged water
Chugged.
for so long that like I
That's the
couldn't
word.
breathe. Like I had to like stop
Like,
and be like but I needed it so bad. I was like I need this water
oh my
so
god.
bad. And those nachos that we got on the way home, I was
Dude,
like the
those
perfect. I told you their food is so good.
was that the nachos that you were gonna take me to? That was the
No,
place?
that
Okay, because
was
those were still fire.
I still, if we can tomorrow, I want to go there. If you're in Charleston, you know the saltwater cowboy nachos. You know that they are
That chicken was so
infamous.
sweet, and we needed like
Yes.
3 of those
I,
because
I know one was not enough, but I
no,
was scared.
I know, Sam.
Well, we also had food here that we didn't have time to eat before we left. So we really did not set ourselves up for success last night. We should have like taken Advil on the way out the door, like brought water with
We were in a
us
rush. That's one of my goals this year,
to
actually,
not be
is
so
to not
last
be in.
minute. The
Yes,
story of my life.
like we're both like that.
I
We're like,
know.
it's so bad. Like if we're recording at 4, we're texting at 4, being like 10
10
more
minutes.
minutes. And I feel like that's the story of my life is I'm always
Yes.
10 or 15 minutes
Something
behind.
always comes up though. But
And
most
but
of
I'll
the
give myself
time,
enough
well, I
time.
was just gonna say, most of the time it's me being like,
Taking my
it's
sweet ass time.
fine. Yeah.
Yes. Like I will have a full 2 hours and I will
Yes.
just dilly-dally until the last
Same.
minute
Mhm.
and be like getting ready or still doing my makeup and it's
Mhm.
like it frustrates me because I don't want to be that person. Like
Mhm.
I don't want to be the person that's late or like
Yeah.
shows up late. Like I want to be early. And there
Mhm.
are times where I like am early and I'm
Yeah.
like so proud of myself for this.
On time is
Yes.
early.
Well, like getting to the airport. I will always get to the airport early.
Yeah. I feel
But
like important that like things that are
yes.
like I will not get on this flight if I'm not there in
Yeah.
time. But like
Yeah.
us recording an episode, I'm like, "Ugh, it's 10 minutes,
I
it's
know.
whatever.
Every
Some
time
days
though.
though, there's time like one of us might have like a call after, like have something else to do, and it's like we really don't have those 10 minutes to spare, and then like the episodes end up having to be like 10 minutes shorter. You know what I mean? Like there's just always, but yeah, I think we both could do a
And
little
I don't
bit
know if
better
that
with that.
means like giving myself 2.5 hours. Am I gonna still? Or like, honestly, I did see a girl say that she will set timers on her phone while she's getting ready.
Oh yeah, and be like,
So
this
like,
needs to be done by
yes,
this time.
like you need to finish your hair at this time and the
Hmm.
alarm goes off. So then you kind of rush to beat the alarm
Yeah, it's
and
like a
it's a
game.
game. Yeah.
Yeah,
And I think honestly, our minds are set up like little kids. Like
they are.
we need a game. And I think that's what he talks about in the book too of like, how can you make it like fun for yourself so you're
Mhm.
enjoying the process instead of like every year I feel like we can look at and be like, okay, once I get to this amount of income, once I get into this relationship, once I buy a house, once I
Mhm.
have a kid, once I'm married, once I'm engaged, whatever, I'm going to be happy.
Yeah,
And you're fucking not and it's like constantly the next thing and the next thing
because
and the
it's the
next thing.
dopamine wearing
Yes.
off. Like you get a
Yes.
dopamine hit when you accomplish a goal, and then it's like, well, now what? And it's like we even talk. I think we talked about this. I think it was before we went to. It was obviously either before Nashville or Dallas, but one of them. I remember voice messaging you and Gabby and being like, "You guys, like, I'm already sad about coming
Yeah.
home, and we haven't even gone on this trip yet." It's like almost like that, where it's
It's
like you
over.
look
You're like,
forward to something for so long and then it gets there and you're like, oh,
yeah.
well, now what? Like, now what do I
Hmm.
hyperfixate on? And then we
Yeah.
came home and immediately booked something
No,
else.
literally. It's such like a not an attachment style, but it's such like
It's like a toxic relationship
a
almost.
little bit with yourself. And you're
Yeah.
like, what's the next thing? And
Hmm.
then when all those things are done, it's like, what do you have to look forward to? But
Yeah.
little do you know, you've been like wishing and praying for that one thing.
Forever.
You're living in the moment of like, you were thinking about this months ago. And
Hmm.
like, you were wanting this so bad, and then you
Hmm.
get it, and you can't even enjoy it because you're already on to the next thing.
Right.
Like, and we talk about this all the time. I know we say it like we don't ever appreciate like where we are until
Yeah.
it's like too late and we look
Hmm.
back and we're like, why was I so unhappy? Like that
Hmm.
was or like why did I think I looked bad? I looked
Hmm.
great in high
Hmm.
school. Like
Yeah.
I thought I was fat in high school. Like but I think it's the same thing with like he talks about with people who like are going to the gym and then they hit their goal and then they just give up because
Stop.
it's like, okay, well I did it,
You
but
need
then
to
you don't understand you have to
maintain
maintain it.
or keep go. Like, what's the next thing? And I know, like, even just fitness specifically, like, it's not always about just hitting that weight. It's like, okay, well, now I might be in good enough shape to go do like a rugged maniac. Like, let's make my next goal like a fitness experience. I don't want to say competition because I don't mean like a like CrossFit competition. I mean like
Or like chase the
run a
feeling of
5K.
feeling good every day. Like
Mm-hmm.
that is I think
Yeah.
good enough for you to be like, okay, today I got up and I did a workout and like the endorphins were released and I
Mm-hmm.
feel good. Like that's the biggest part I think about
Mm-hmm.
fitness, but it could apply to anything. Like
Yeah.
doing your hair every day. Like
Mm-hmm.
now I feel good and ready to like take on the day.
Yes.
If you're like obviously lounging around in your PJs and you're laying on the couch, you notice you're more tired than you are if you like ran a fucking
Yeah.
marathon cuz like
Same.
it sets you up. And he
Yeah.
was even talking about how I feel like this whole thing is like about the book, but I just have
It
learned
really
so
well, if you're,
much.
like, in the middle, like,
I'm in
in
the
the
middle
thick
of
of it,
it.
yeah, 'cause
Hmm.
I was this literally, when I read this book, like, it actually changed my life,
It
and
is.
I
I
think I
think about
talked
things so differently.
yes, I think I talked we've talked well, I know we have talked about it, I think we've mentioned it on here before, but the habit stacking, like, that truly changed my life, like, when you look at the habits that you're doing, like, okay, I'm gonna walk 5 miles on my treadmill every morning. Well, I'm not just gonna sit there and do it in silence. Like, I'm gonna
Hmm.
play a podcast that I listen to. That's habit stacking. Like, it's
Yeah.
mixing something that's fun with something that's maybe not as fun. Like, not saying
Yeah.
that walking on the treadmill can't be fun, but it's think maybe like when you're doing chores, like, okay, I'm gonna clean my kitchen, play a
Hmm.
podcast. Like, you're doing
Set a
something that's
timer.
set a timer. Liz, I am like I swear to God, I'm the weirdest
Eat the
person ever.
clock.
I love timers. Like, one of my favorite things to
That just
do.
reminded me of that TikTok where it's like, call me crazy, but I
Oh,
never buy
yeah,
garlic from the store. You're
pesto.
so
You've
pesto.
never
You're
like
so
ever bought
crazy,
pesto.
Susie.
Listen, Susie, you're crazy, but let me tell you about this one time. Those stories were
Oh
wild.
my
Like, some people
God.
was like,
I
"Are you
know.
okay?"
I know.
But no, I'm a psychopath. So one of my favorite things to do is I set a time. It depends on how long I have. I actually haven't even done it in this house yet because we kind of just moved in. But like one of my favorite things to do is like when I know I want to like deep clean my entire house. I literally set a timer. I'll show you my little basket that I have. I have a little basket that comes to each room with me. It has a trash bag, dusters, spray, Clorox wipes, like everything you need to clean an entire room. And I carry the basket around from room to room with me. And I set a timer for either 15 or 30 minutes and I clean that entire room. And then I go to the next room and restart the timer. And it's like anything that isn't done when that timer goes off, like doesn't get done. But like I
Yeah.
am like the dopamine of getting done
Yeah.
before the
Same.
timer. Like I said in that one video too that I made for my birthday, like I turned my finances into a game a long time
Hmm.
ago and that shit is like addicting. Like I have a whole spreadsheet. I'm like
Yeah.
looking at what goes where and like looking at what the income, like what's left over, what can go in savings. And now it's like I've challenged myself to I don't want to say save as much money as possible because I don't do that, but it's just I've turned everything into a
You
game.
have to, because that's the shit that isn't fun. So how are you
Right.
gonna make it fun, or like how are you gonna enjoy that process or that
Mhm.
journey if you're not
Like
like,
paying bills
it could be
sucks.
the littlest thing too of like the reward that you get after it. Like you
Yeah.
can set everything up as like little rewards, and I just
Mhm.
bought like Shelby Sacco's like habit stacker thing, and it's
Yeah.
like all your habits, and you have a daily checklist if you did that
Mhm.
habit, and then at the end like how many you did or
Yeah.
whatever. And then there's ones where you can write in what your rewards are going to be for
Mhm.
certain things. So say you do a little thing like you clean your house, you can reward yourself with like a Starbucks coffee
Yeah.
and you can write that down like when I finish cleaning my house, I
Mhm.
will go get a coffee.
Mhm.
When I X, I will X. And you can reward yourself that way or it doesn't even have to be money. It can be like I will go on like a picnic and cook from
Mhm.
home or something or like
I'll watch my favorite show. I'll
yeah,
watch Netflix for an hour.
something
Sometimes I'd be
simple.
flipping it though, and I'm like,
Oh
I'm
yeah.
gonna go to Starbucks and this will make me like if I
Want to
go,
do.
yeah,
Yeah.
or I'll be like,
True.
all right, if I go
You
get
deserve a
Starbucks
treat.
now, I have to do this later.
Yeah.
Usually it works, but no,
Yeah.
I mean, I do this. I mean, mine is usually like I'll add a couple things to my Amazon cart and be like, okay, if I get everything done on my to-do list this week, like I'll hit
Then I
checkout
can.
on Amazon.
Oh, that's so smart, actually. Yeah.
Or again, sometimes I'll do it the other way where it's like I get the dopamine rush first and like do it, and then I literally force
Yes.
myself to do the things I have to do.
That's really
I
smart,
don't know if that's like
actually.
toxic advice. Like maybe, I don't know.
I mean,
Should I
I
be
think it's
telling
better
people?
than just like pulling the trigger on something, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, having like a bookkeeper now or
Hmm.
like a bookkeeping team, I feel like before I was doing the Excel sheet myself and like
Hmm.
I would be so lazy with it. Like I wasn't like, and it was only business stuff. Like I wasn't
Hmm.
calculating, like, which I know there's a ton of apps for personal too, like Mint and
I've
like,
literally tried every finance app and I
yeah,
don't like any of them. I literally use a Google Doc
yeah.
and I have all 30. Well, okay. So on my Google Doc, I think I've talked to you about this, haven't I, or shown it to you? Like, literally, I made a table in Google Docs and it's all of the days of the month. And like, I went in and put, okay, this credit card is due on the 7th of the month every month. This
Hmm.
rent payment is due on the 1st. And I literally go
Yeah.
through and like pay as much as I can ahead,
Yeah.
and I'll be like, okay, I know that I don't have to get back in here and like pay anything else until the 13th. Then I put
Hmm.
it on my calendar, and on the 13th, I go in and like pay everything for the next week. Like, I've
Yeah.
literally turned everything in my life into a system and
Hmm.
into a process and into a game, and it's my favorite thing ever.
You have to.
And sometimes I feel like a
Otherwise,
little crazy with it. I'm like, oh my God, like if somebody actually saw like some of the things I do, they would be
you
like,
should sell that.
I have
That
thought about it.
yeah,
I
I would get
really have
it
thought, I honestly, and
because I
like,
want to do that with my personal like finances. My business finances, I'm like
yeah,
good. I understand everything in there, but I need to basically have a bookkeeper like
for
the same
yourself.
for myself
But literally
to
start with the Google. I mean, I'll share it with you as soon as we're done. But
yeah.
like, you're gonna look at it and be like, "This is it." Like, it's not anything special. But I really have thought about it because not to pat myself on my own back, but like, I'm 30. It like
Wah,
pains me
wah.
to say that out loud. But like, I was super fucking irresponsible with money from 18, from the time I got my first credit card at 18 to maybe like 22, 23. And I might have talked about this on here before, but like
Yeah.
I opened like 5 credit cards when I was 18, maxed them all out, didn't pay them back for years. My credit score dropped to like
God.
450. I learned everything that there was to learn about credit. And before I was 25, I had my credit score back up over 700, and it's
Wow.
never dropped below that. Literally gives me anxiety to think about it. And I don't say
That's
that to like
crazy.
brag, but I say it because like there really are things like systems that you can put into place. And don't get me wrong, it does come down to a lot of like income. But I say all of that to say is like I've genuinely thought about offering or like even just putting content out there to help people with that because I do like I hate even it's so bad.
Maybe a
I'm
whole series. Like
yeah.
I had like my credit score was a 450. I maxed out 5 credit cards here, so I made my way back.
Yeah.
Like
And like
I've seen a lot of people do.
And it's such like a toxic mindset that I have that like it's hard for me to sit here and say like I know I'm fucking good at that stuff. But like I know I'm fucking good at that stuff. I've never missed a credit card payment. Like I've never,
Yeah, I did recently, and I was like, shit, they charged me $70, and I was
which
like,
is the
no,
worst
it's the
because you look at it and you're
worst.
like that was the payment. Like I could have
Yeah, that was
avoided that by
dumb.
just
It definitely wasn't the payment, but
well, neither are some of mine right now after moving, but yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that I've thought of. It's just hard too because I feel like I look at everything with like you need to be an expert in that before you're making content or like I didn't go to school for accounting, but at the end of the day, like what experience do I need to put the Google Doc together? Like
right.
not much. So it really is something that I've thought about. So if anybody out there has questions about it, I can't guarantee I'll be able to help, but
Hmm.
let me know because it really is something. And like nobody really ever taught me about that stuff.
Yeah, no,
Like
you're
nobody
never taught
sat me
about it.
down and was like,
You're never taught about habits. You're never taught about
no.
any of that, like how to create systems in your life, not just like in your business. But What are some of your goals?
As we sit here and say we don't like to talk
Well,
about.
not goals, but
Well,
like what
no.
I yeah, you can have goals, but like it's important to just have the systems in place of how you're
Yes.
going to get to those goals. So it's not like resolution or like
Mm-mm.
revolutionary change in your life.
Right.
Like you don't have to you
Just
more
things
so
that
like
we
have
want
to
to
put
accomplish.
yeah, you more so have to start better habits
Mhm.
instead of just getting rid of all your bad ones. Like
Mhm.
just start incorporating more good ones and
Yeah.
over time I think it'll get rid of your bad ones. But I
Yeah.
don't want all to be about habits. I just think
It's a huge
what are
part of
your
it
goals and
though.
what habits are you gonna apply for them?
Yeah. So, one of the main things that I want to start doing in the new year, and I'm usually not somebody that's like, "Oh, I'll just start like next month or at like the first of the year or whatever," but it really just is like I know for a fact for the next 3 weeks from the time I'm recording this that I don't have time to start doing this yet. But something that I really want to start doing again and putting a lot of effort into is creating consistent content. Like so
My goal too.
bad
Me too.
because it's so bad that like
Yeah.
I sit here and preach to all of my clients like we can't miss a day. Like here I am not having posted since October. Oops. So something that I want to plan to do for that and something that I used to do too and it kind of just like fell to the bottom of my priority list is literally time blocking content. Like
Yeah.
time blocking into my calendar X amount of hours to
Yeah.
research, plan, X amount to record, X amount to edit. And it just kind of like got pushed to the back burner for a long time
Right.
because I was just
Me too.
doing so many things, but that's definitely a huge one business wise.
I think it's hard to do that for us. Like
Yeah,
we don't have
it's
like
hard.
teams of people.
No.
Like
I mean, even if I could get back to like once a week consistently, I think I'd be
right.
happy.
Yeah. Literally. Like right now our only content is like being shared with the podcast page. But
Which
like
is fine
it's
because,
fine. That's what we feel and
yeah,
I don't know, I just go back and forth with content like what I want to put out.
same. And I feel like right now I have a pretty good idea of it, but like even having this conversation with you, I like there's a part of me that wants to move a little bit more towards I don't want to say like lifestyle because I don't like to place myself into a category like that. But I definitely want to move a little bit more towards just like sharing things that make me happy or like sharing things that I'm enjoying doing or like exactly what we just talked about like maybe sharing a little bit more of like things that I know that I love doing and that just happens to be making a Google Doc for everything in my life. Like Ethan seriously thinks I'm psycho, I think. I mean, I know he does. But like I have like notes in my phone and it's like, okay, at 1 p.m. I'm doing this. At 1:30 I'm doing this. At 2 p.m. I'm doing this. Like I just have truly turned everything into a system. But, like I love talking about that stuff and I love helping people with that and
Yeah.
maybe moving a little bit more towards that. So I mean that's like a huge business one. I honestly haven't thought too much about personal ones because I've just been on like such a kick of like I'm going to get my business back
Yeah.
on the front burner that like that's kind of where everything is going right now. Like all of my attention and like I know we have a lot of goals together for the new year.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how much we should talk about it now, like some things that we're putting together, some things that we're going to be putting out. Like those are huge goals of not just mine, but yours as well. I just had another one that I was thinking of. Clearly, it's not like super important if I don't can't remember it. What are some of yours? Like what are
I agree. Like that is definitely a big business goal for me and I'm not even like really thinking about like I know every year I feel like in my business I've gone into it being like I want to make X amount of money and like I want to make this much more this year and at this point I'm like if that's meant to happen it will happen and like obviously I'm trying to attract those type of clients that like
yeah.
will be with me for years and like will pay higher prices than maybe they were paying like 2 years ago. So I don't know. I feel like that was a goal of mine for 2023 and I did hit that goal. I think I'm very aligned with like the clients I have now,
Mhm.
way more than I was a year ago at this time, like
Yeah, when I think back,
a
I had
thousand percent.
like 10 clients this time last year.
I
Isn't
had
that insane?
7 and I just wasn't aligned with like 4 of them.
Yeah, I wasn't.
And I
I
was
think I
burning
still work
myself
with
out.
two of them at
Yeah.
this point. Actually, maybe
Same.
even one. It's pretty
Yeah, I have
crazy.
all new clients this year.
And that was a huge goal for me last year
Mhm.
was like, I am
Yeah.
done. Like, I remember working on Christmas Eve last year until like midnight. And I'm
Mhm.
not like sick. I'm not like a huge holiday person. I think we've talked about this. Like it's not
Yeah.
so much to me that's like, oh my God, I'm working on Christmas Eve. Like this is so bad. Cause like it was more so that I didn't have a choice. Like I had so much shit to do that I had to work that day. And I remember that day being like, I don't care if it means that I am struggling money wise for a little while. Like some
Yeah.
of these people have to go,
Yeah.
which is a super privileged thing to say because I knew, it was going to be okay.
Yeah.
But I was willing to like struggle for a minute to not
Mhm.
feel the way that I felt last year.
Yeah.
And now looking back, the fact that I only work with one of those 10 people still is
Crazy.
crazy.
Yeah, same.
Mhm.
All of my
Like, I work
clients
with
are new.
all new people this year.
Yeah,
That's insane. I really didn't think about that until
I
right
know.
now.
It's crazy to think about.
Shout out everybody I work with now. I
Yeah.
love you.
Love y'all. You're the
Yeah.
best.
I
We're
don't have
so
one
aligned.
complaint about any of you.
No. Yeah, everyone and
Except, no, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I love you all.
I think that was what my goal was for last year, and I think I hit that goal because I started like putting out content that aligns more with the people that I
Mhm.
wanted to work with and like
Mhm.
resonated with. And I think that's the most important part. If that's what you're like trying to do and who you're trying to attract, your content speaks volumes of like
Mhm.
who are you trying to
Attract.
attract into your circle and like into your business. And I was like not really attracting the right people last year.
Mhm.
So I figured that out. So that was last year. But
That
this
was a nice
year,
wake up call.
yeah, I definitely think content is I want it to be a priority again because I know it helps so many people too. Like every
Yes.
time I do post, like the amount of conversations I can have, or like business
Mhm.
owners that are like, oh my God, that helped me so much. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I need to be doing that more, but I also don't want it all to be social media. And we've talked about
Yes.
this too, like about our content, about how we haven't posted a lot. And I don't know, I just go so back and forth because it's like, do I want to do my own content or do I want to catch up on my client stuff and not have to be like working until 11
I
o'clock at
know.
night?
That's what's
But, and I
hard.
know so many people are probably going to be like, why do you guys just not hire? Like, why don't you just hire people to do stuff for you if like you're so, and you can go and focus on your content
Mhm.
because it's just so hard
One,
to
we've talked about.
be us.
Yeah.
Like, it's,
It is so hard being
it's
us. No,
hard
I'm
to
just
be
kidding.
it's hard to be
It's
you.
a
It's hard to
hard path
be
being
it's hard
us.
for me to be you. Like it
Yes.
is not the same and as much as anyone can like pick up not anyone, as much as like a professional can pick up a brand voice and
Mhm.
whatever, if they're not local or like especially us having local clients or like
Mhm.
understanding the brand because
Yes.
no one will ever care about your business as much as you do.
Mhm.
I think that's the really hard part is like as much as people can do a great job like on your client stuff, like they're not you at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to trust people and give that like right away. And I know
Mhm.
it's like a whole trust issue thing.
When I was gonna say, I remember saying that to one of my clients one time and her being like, you have to get over that. And she had a service-based business, like a beauty service salon. And she was the only person providing this service for so long and eventually hired people to come in. And she was like, do you know how hard it was for me to like let some of my clients go to these new people? And I'm like, yes, and I completely understand what she meant. And I do agree. Like it really is something that like eventually we probably will have to get over. But we've also talked about it too. I mean, I know for sure for me, like I have no interest in being a manager. I have no interest in micromanaging people or even having a team that helps me with forward facing things. Like I think I outsource for my accountant, I outsource for like a business lawyer, like things that I just can't like actually cannot do myself. Obviously, I have to outsource for. But I even said to you yesterday, I was like, and this might be not even the best advice or like a little bit toxic. And I don't mean for anybody to hear this and be like, yeah, you're so right. Like, I at this point would rather work the way that I'm working and be able to keep all of the reward from that
Hmm.
than to feel like I have to.
Anything after
Exactly. Yeah, I mean,
the
I'll call a spade, money. Like, right now, I would rather work as much as I do and keep all of the money that I can than to have to go in and, like, okay, figure out how to pay somebody, like, just based off of my business structure and, like, know that every client payment I get gets split in half. Like, that's so hard for me to think of, like, letting go of.
Because you're the one that has to pay all the expenses of it, not
Mhm.
like the person you hired, obviously. Not that
Right.
I'm saying that should ever be like the
No.
case. It's just, I agree with this economy, with everything that's going
I
on,
need
how
dollars.
expensive everything
Yeah.
is. Like, I agree. Like, I want to keep that money. And like, I scaled back, obviously, from having like Gabby do a lot of stuff. Like, she was doing a lot more for me last year than, but like, also she's getting busier with like her own stuff. And like,
Mhm.
I always said, like, people you hire, I think it's so important to have the mindset, like, I want them to go on and like do their own thing. I don't want,
Flourish.
yeah, I don't want you to be an assistant forever. I don't want you to like have to do stuff for my business forever. Like, if
Mhm.
you have those goals, and like, it's fine to start somewhere, even if you want to be an assistant forever, like,
That's
great,
fine.
that's amazing. 'Cause, like, some people don't want to start their own business and do their own thing. But like, if
Mhm.
you have other ventures that could probably make you more money or whatever, like, go on and do those things. And
Mhm.
I just like haven't been in the place to trust anyone
Me
else
neither.
with anything.
I haven't.
So,
I've just
and
been
now
burned.
I do want all the money
Yeah.
because
That's how I afford my Amazon rewards for all of the
yes,
to-do list things I get done. No,
correct.
I'm
There's
just
a lot
kidding.
of life things
Mhm.
happening, a lot of like
Yeah.
expenses popping up. Like, even for my bookkeeping catch up I had to do for like the entire year, and then I signed up for like the year subscription. Like, that cost me 5 grand.
That's insane.
Like, it's actually insane. That's a
But
lot of
you
fucking
have
money that I
there's no
spent a
choice.
lot of time saving. Like, I don't
Yeah.
say it lightly. Like, I just dropped 5 grand on
No.
bookkeepers. Like, that was
That
rough
made
for
my bank
me.
account hurt for a minute.
Yes, it
Yeah.
was rough. And but it's something I had to do, and I'm like, I can't imagine if I had a team that I was also responsible for. And like,
Mhm.
I think that's what gives me a lot of anxiety too, is like, these are people's lives and they're depending
Yeah.
on you for
And
income. What
if
if you
that
lose a
scares
client?
me,
You
no,
still have
that
to pay them. And
that
it's like,
horrifies me.
and that's
Or
happened. And I'm like, fuck, I've taken money out of my paycheck to be able to like
mhm.
pay for the help I'm getting, because
Mhm.
I'd lose a client or two or whatever. And thankfully, like, me and Gabby had such like a always a great relationship to
Yeah.
like resolve that and be like, okay, let's scale back on this, or like,
Mhm.
let's not worry about that until like you get another client or whatever. So like, that worked. But
But
I know in so many
unfortunately, not
cases,
every
like,
situation is like that.
no, like, people rely on things and
Yeah.
they need that income to survive. So it's
Mhm.
like, yeah, it's hard. It's really hard being a team versus just ourselves,
Mhm.
for sure.
And I know I feel like we always say this. If that is your goal, that's more than
Yeah.
okay. There's just some businesses that will not work without a team. Like you do
No.
need more people. Like,
Right.
and I mean exactly like you said,
It's a
if
responsibility.
it's a huge responsibility and I just don't know. I was a manager at a job in my past life and I didn't like it. Like I thought I would and I didn't. I only lasted a couple months before I was like, I
Yeah.
gotta go start my own business. Bye.
No, I don't really have any like, I mean, personal goals, I think like health wise is always on my list. Like,
Yeah.
right now I'm really trying to figure out what the fuck's wrong with me,
Yeah.
because I've been getting headaches for the last 3 months, and it's like concerning to the point where I'm like, what is this? So the last, literally since I got here, I cut out
Mhm.
gluten and I haven't had a headache.
Which is
So
pretty telling.
I don't know. We'll see what happens, but
Yeah.
that's also really fucking sad. But I've never
It's
had an issue before. Nothing's ever like, I mean, hot girls have tummy problems. I've always
yeah.
had tummy problems, but my stomach is constantly hurting. I
Yeah. Your
constantly have a
head.
headache. Every day I wake up with a headache and like fog
Yeah.
and like
Dizzy.
fatigue. I'm like dizzy all the time.
Mhm.
And then I just like started looking it up, and people are like, yeah, the gluten will literally do that to you.
I knew that the gluten would do headaches and
Yeah.
stomach
And
issues. But that
fatigue,
was
brain fog, all
yeah.
of that has to do with gluten, which is
I
crazy.
think even
I
people
think I'm
who
shedding my skin like every
every
7
7 years,
years. I think this is my 7th
new
year.
cells.
But
Yeah.
that's really fucking awful. Like, I'm not happy at all.
No. But
It
I think
sucks.
even for like I mean, this could go like to a totally different topic, but like I think even if you're not technically like gluten intolerant, like cutting those things out are really good for you anyway. I mean, I
Yeah,
don't do that, so I can't like talk,
right.
but I just know there's a lot of benefits to the gluten specifically.
Yeah, I think right now one of my goals and how I'm doing that is that's my system, to try to like test what
Mhm.
doesn't make me feel good, what makes me feel good. So my health for sure. I mean, I'd love to lean out. I'd love to lose a little weight to like feel better, but like,
Always.
yeah, always. I definitely want to get back into like working out a little more consistently, because I
Mhm.
always feel good after, and I
Yeah.
just have been neglecting that because I have been so busy.
Mhm.
But that just goes with waking up earlier. That's gonna be
That's
another goal.
starting
It's
the
like,
habits.
Yeah, put my phone in the kitchen so I can get
Mhm.
up and not lay on TikTok for an hour.
Yeah.
I could have been working out that hour. So like I can't say I'm so like when I say I'm so busy with the day, it's because I scrolled on TikTok for an hour and a half this morning when I
Right.
could have been doing shit that would like
Mhm.
set me up for the day. So like
Yeah.
I am my own worst enemy. Like I'll admit it. I'm not sitting here preaching like you should be doing this and this is how you do your
Mhm.
habits. Like I'm fully just getting
We got our own
started.
shit to work on.
Just getting started with all this. Like
Yeah.
I don't have like great systems and like personal
Mhm.
goals right now. I do in my business and I feel really happy about that. That was a goal for me, like going into the new year is like have all my shit in my business like so
Mhm.
planned and like together.
That's what I was gonna say too, is that was the one that left my brain was another business goal that I have is I do want to kind of like switch up the services that I'm offering. And I do want to make my website a reflection of where I currently am because my website right now was thrown together very quickly by myself when I kind of like pivoted a little bit last year. Well, I guess technically this year, but like way earlier this year.
Mhm.
And I kind of just want to get even like this is gonna sound so dumb, but like even my Instagram highlights are like over a year old.
Yep.
Like they're not relevant now. I
Just
need
update everything
yes, and
to
that's
reflect where you're at.
yeah, and I
Yeah.
went through and I literally blocked off on my calendar. I don't remember exactly what days it is, but it's like a couple days after Christmas but before the new year and I'm like I'm off these days. And by off, I mean like no client work,
Yeah.
no shoots. I'm not leaving my house, maybe to run to Starbucks, but like I'm literally sitting down and I'm doing this to-do list that I've had forever. Like it's just gotten to the point where I'm like, why haven't I done this yet? And it's like, oh, because I keep putting it on the back burner. So I
Yeah.
literally forced myself a few
Mhm.
days before the new year. I'm like dead to the world. Phone's on do not disturb. I have lots of snacks in my house and I'm sitting in this office and I'm getting shit done
Yeah.
because I know that I need that. And I'll
Mhm.
feel so much better about because that's what's hard right now too is like I want to start creating more content consistently, but where I want to go doesn't reflect where like my Instagram currently is and like my website currently is. And there's a lot of things I want to set up before I start
Yeah.
doing that.
So it's cohesive.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's just like a lot of admin things that I need to do.
Yeah.
But technically, I want to do that before the new year, so I don't know if it technically counts. So, a little end of year
Yeah, a little cleanup.
clean out.
Well, yeah, I
Mhm.
think every end of year, I think it's good to do that. Like a clear out of everything, like even your house stuff, not just business things, but like going through
Mhm.
your phone and like, I mean, I do this on the flights always.
It's
Like on
always on the
every flight
plane.
on the plane, I always like go through literally all my albums. I'm deleting screenshots, I'm deleting
Mhm.
screen recordings, I'm deleting random stuff off of there. I'm organizing every folder. So
Yes.
like I do this more than once a year and
Yeah.
like you should too because it's
It's a
like
lot if you
it's
wait
a
until
lot.
once a year.
And we have two phones, like
Mhm.
work phone
I
and
got
personal
two
phone. Phones,
phones,
one for
one
the
up
blue,
and
the
one
one for the
down.
low. Yeah, so there's two that comes with that.
Backstories.
And then on your computer, same thing. I need to do that so bad because there's so
So,
many random screenshots and
mhm.
things. Just like cleaning up for your mind, for your space, like
Yes.
your office, everything. Or like even your pantry, like go through
Everything.
and see what shit is old, what's
Yeah.
expired. Like I think you can do that with literally anything in your life,
Mhm.
like your car,
Oh,
anything.
my
There's
car was
probably
bad
so many
before. Thank God
wrappers
you came
and
here because it forced me to like get the shit out of my car that's been sitting in there for weeks.
make it a game. Have your friend come visit you so you can get shit
So you're
done
forced
before.
to get things
Yeah.
done.
I happened to come literally a week after Lex moved into this house.
Yeah.
So
So you're here in the
really
midst of the
forced her to move
chaos.
in.
No, and like honestly, this move was such a perfect time because the amount of shit that I got rid of and
Hmm.
threw away, like not one thing was moved into this house that did not serve an entire purpose and
Yeah.
did not have a place to live. And honestly, I used to be very like attached to things. Like I
Yeah.
would be like, what if I need this one random pen? What if I need this? You're not gonna fucking need the pen. Like when we moved from the house we lived in before the one that we just were living in, like I literally was emptying entire drawers like into the trash can because I was like, I
Hmm.
haven't opened this drawer in a year. clearly I don't need anything in there. Literally, my social security card could have been in there for all I knew, but I'm dumping it out because, well, it's not. That's in a very particular place. But do you know what I mean? Like, there was just not clearly anything important in there that I needed in the
Yeah.
last year, so I'm not gonna need it again. And to this day, there's not one thing that I'm like, fuck, I threw away when I emptied
Like
that
you're
drawer.
thinking about it. You only think about it if you come
When
across
you
it,
see it.
when you see it in front of you, but like you don't ever use it. It's like clothing too. Like go donate all those
Yeah.
clothes or like sell them on Poshmark. Like I just sold 5 things on Poshmark that I haven't
Did
worn.
you really?
Yeah, in like 2 years.
Nice.
Yeah, it's like so easy to do and
Mhm.
just like do a clear out of everything to set yourself up because I
Yeah.
think that's a huge reason why people don't hit their goals or like make any changes is because how are you going to make changes when nothing changes? If nothing changes, nothing changes. Like
Literally.
if you're trying to wake up early every single day, but you're not setting an alarm, how are you going to wake up early? Like
Mhm.
how are you going to make those changes? Or like when you're thrown back into an environment after, like say you hang out with like 3 friends and none of them have like similar goals as you. Maybe they're the ones that want to get drunk, want to party, want to like I don't know, eat like shit all the time. And like there's a
Mhm.
time and place, but you're trying to hit health goals, like maybe drinking less, maybe like staying in and cooking instead of like going out
Yeah.
to dinner all the time. Like if you start doing those things and then you start hanging out with those people, unless again you have the strong willpower, are you going to stick to that
Mhm.
lifestyle and those goals? No, you're going to go right back into that environment of getting drunk and eating like shit with your friends and feeling bad and it's like a constant cycle. So
Yeah.
like choose wisely your environment and the people you're around
Because
to be hitting those goals.
have you ever heard, I don't know if this is like an actual thing. I mean, it's obviously a thing, but
The 5 people you hang around.
yes,
Yeah.
you are the accumulation of the people that you
We
surround
have
yourself.
molded into one person.
We are one brain cell. Between the two of us, we have
And
one
it's
whole
barely
brain
holding
cell,
on.
and it's holding on by a thread.
Like
Yeah,
eat, er.
it's like dangling by a
It
thread.
decides who it's gonna function with
It
today.
decides who gets the brain cell that
Yeah.
day. I love what you said too about like it doesn't have to just be something that happens in the new year. Cause like I know I've
Yeah.
shown you and Gabby the insane list of shit that I do on the first of every month. Like
Hmm.
I have a whole list that I go through. I clear out my desktop, I clear out my phone, I organize everything. I'm a I say like I'm a psycho, but like I've got this shit down to a science and I'm
I mean, if
really
it works
fucking
for you,
proud
it
of
works for
that.
you, and I don't think
Yeah.
anyone's to say what's crazy and what's not
No.
crazy. Like
No.
I bet
It's just
people
like a
do
little
crazier
neurotic. It's a
things,
little like type A to like an
but
extreme.
that's who you are.
It is who I am, but it works. And like
Yeah.
I remember this was the first full year of me doing a lot of those things, like the whole cinnamon front door thing. I've been doing that for a long time. The letters to myself, I've been doing that for like almost 2 years at this point. But this year was the first full year of me every month on the first. I have a 2 hour time block. It doesn't matter what day of the week it is, there is a 2 hour time block, and there are like 5 to maybe 7 things on that list that I do the second that I wake up on the first of every month. And it has really,
It's become a habit.
it's become a habit and it's become like
You
an
don't think about it
appointment.
anymore.
No. And that's why I remember like the year before that, I'd go to the downloads folder on my computer and there's 17,000 things
Oh
in
my
there. And
god, that's me.
I'm like, this is so bad that now on the first of every month, like I'm going in there and I literally just select everything like down to the bottom and just drag it to the trash.
Hmm.
Because I'm like, obviously, like I know when I download something, I move it immediately to where it needs to go. So if it's still in my downloads folder, like clearly
It wasn't
it's
important enough to
yes.
keep. Yeah.
So little things like that, like digital decluttering, like oh, I love that shit.
Yeah, same. It's so satisfying.
Yeah, I
Putting
love
shit
that.
into folders,
Hmm.
titling things, like just knowing where everything is. I hate having my, especially my work phone be chaos. Like I hate
Yes.
that because I can't ever find like a certain picture I'm thinking of or
Hmm.
like it's I don't like to live in chaos. I mean, I know people thrive off that and like function
I
off
do
that.
not. I
I
panic.
don't, but I'm definitely not as type A as you, like we've said,
No,
but
mine's neurotic.
still need things like organized and like
Mhm.
laid out and planned out so I know what's like
Like, I wish I could just, like, be your personal assistant.
same.
Like,
I need you to manage my
I
calendar. I
literally
need you
wish I
to
could because I feel like
yeah,
that's
add that to your fucking task list, would you?
on the
My goal
first
for
of
the
every
new
month.
year is to hire Lex as my fucking personal assistant.
Oh, that's funny. But, like, that's like, I used to think I was like, I wanna, like, be a personal assistant. Like, I feel like I would be so good at it. But then that was kinda like a light switch moment too, was the day that I was like, "Well, fuck, like, why am I not my own personal assistant?"
You're your own Alexa.
Yeah, I really am. Or Google. Hey,
Alexa.
Google. We have Hey Googles in our house because I would die if I had to say the name
My
Alexa
gosh, the
every day.
boys at babysat was so cute. They would go, "Hey Google," yeah, or Alexa, Alexa.
That's why anytime I'm, like, in somebody's house and they say my name, like, the Alexa always goes off.
Yeah,
I'm like, "Sorry." Or, like, when those
Alexis.
first came out, the amount of, like, "Hey, Alexis, what's the weather?" I'm like, "Yeah, it was funny the first, like, 2
You should be able
times."
to like, make your own name for it.
I always thought that. I'm like, "Wish you could" maybe you can, I just don't know how to use them. But, yeah, I mean, I think there's no right or wrong way to approach well, there are kinda, like, better ways than not, but whatever your goals are, whatever your plans are for the new year, I'm wishing you all the best, and I just
Yeah,
would love to hopefully give you a little bit of insight of maybe to start reverse engineering your goals and to maybe start making a little bit more of the plans and systems, and I think
yeah.
I mean, Atomic Habits literally changed my life, and
Oh
I'm so
yeah,
glad you're
I
listening to it
am
now.
so glad I'm listening to it because I always followed like Shelby on TikTok and she
Mhm.
talks a lot about it. So like I had an understanding of it, but just hearing it and like
Yes.
the examples he gives you, you're like, oh my God, that couldn't be more true. And like,
Yeah,
I think it's things that are not obvious, but that I'm like, yeah, that totally makes sense.
I
Like,
know.
no shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. If you're still doing the same shit, nothing's gonna change. Like, it's this,
Mhm.
it's just, I don't know. It's so different when you're hearing things from someone else
Yeah.
versus when you're just, like, you don't really think about those things on a daily basis
Right.
until you're hearing someone else talk about it and like
Right.
how it will change your life and how you can start. I just need a plan. Like I always need someone to just be like, this
This
is
is what
what
we're
you could
doing.
do. Yeah, this
Mhm.
is what you could do. And I'm like, okay, then I can just go and do it.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'm just the person that like needs a little bit of
A kick in the ass, if
yeah,
you
like a little
will.
guidance of like,
Yeah.
here's the plan. And I'm like, okay, I can do this.
Mhm.
Like I feel like you're the one that sets up like the foundation kind of.
Well, I was
And
just
I'm
gonna
like,
say
okay, let's get it. I can do
I
that.
feel so opposite of that because I don't like being given a plan. I like to
Yeah.
try and figure out what works and then
Yeah.
make the plan and then like
But I always
I
love your plan.
yeah.
Like anything you say, you're like, okay, so I think, would you want to do like this, and this, or we
Mhm.
could do that? And I was like, no, I think that plan is great. So like, I love that you're the foundations, kind of,
Mhm.
the building blocks, if you
The
will,
building
and then I
blocks.
feel like I can
You're like
stack
the
on top of
executor.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like the one that makes it happen once you know what's
Yeah, like
to be
yesterday with
done.
the balloon arch, you're like, okay, this is like what the picture is, and I'm like, all right, I'll start blowing up these
Yeah.
balloons. But you're like, this is what it's gonna look like. This is the foundation, and I could be like, okay, I'll start
Mhm.
executing like
Yeah, and you
once I
do.
have the plan, you
Yeah.
know.
Yep.
So yeah,
Love
I don't
that.
know.
But
Is
yeah.
there anything else we wanna? I mean, I know you make like vision boards. I think that's great
Oh,
for the
yeah,
new
that was
year.
something that we had on there too. Yeah, so I actually okay, so I did not make a vision board for this year because or no. Okay, so the year of 2021, no, 2022, I made a vision board, and at the end of 2022, almost every single thing on it had came true. So I kinda scared myself because I was like, "Fuck, what if I put, like, some crazy shit on this vision board for
Manifested a little too
2023?"
hard.
Yeah, I got girl boss a little too close to the sun. So I actually did not do one for the year of 2023 because well, one, I also think I was, like, burnt out of life at the end of last year because I was working with too many people,
Yeah.
too many things were going on. So I really did not take it as seriously, but I also was like, oh my god, like, everything on there came like, down
Yeah.
to, like, the new like, the car that I got, like, everything. It was
That's
wild.
crazy.
Yeah, and, like, books
Yeah.
that like, it was just insane.
I downloaded something last year, but I like started it. It was in Notion. It's like a template actually.
Mhm,
So you could do something like that, like find a template of
mhm.
where you could just plug things in. Because again, like I said, I like to have
Yeah,
things like
the
it's literally
guidance.
called the Glow Up 2023 template.
Oh,
And
cute.
it's down to like what you look like, what you
Yeah.
smell like. Like my hair is long, dark brunette. My face is clear, glowing, and moisturized. My teeth are fresh. My brows are fresh, filled in, and dark. My teeth are white and straight. My makeup is dewy, glowy, and porcelain. My nails are always done almond shape and neutral. And like
Everything about you
that's
is
coming true.
true.
Like my skin is glowing, what I smell like, my signature scent. Like it comes down to like my nighttime scent, my scent for date nights, what I want to
Mhm.
look like, what I dress like, what my body looks like. Like just everything, like what I eat for breakfast. For a snack I eat this. For lunch I eat this. Fruits I
Mhm.
love, foods I want to avoid. Like what I do working out, what I spend my free time doing, how I present myself online. And then there's like AM routine, and it's if anyone wants this, I'm pretty sure this template is by Amaya Dam on Instagram. It's like AMAYADAMMEE. She's a social media manager too. But like
Cute.
if you click into AM routine, like you can write your entire routine of like
Mhm.
6 a.m. phone turns on morning mode, like so down to like
The
everything, like
minute,
physical,
yeah.
mental health, lifestyle, like you can have a physical checklist of things you do. Like I like dabbled a little bit in it, but I feel like I kind of stopped looking at it.
Mhm.
But I think it's good to keep it somewhere where you can like
Look
a
back on
vision
it.
board or print it out, put
Yeah.
it like somewhere that you can see it.
Mhm. Or even just like fit like writing it.
Yeah.
Like just open a Google Doc and be like, in 2024, I want to, in 2024, I will, in 2024, I
Yeah.
will accomplish. Like it's even just putting the word somewhere. Like it doesn't always have to be,
Writing it, saying it. I think even like
yes.
on your bedside table, like maybe
Hmm.
pick like 3 or 4 points that you want to
And
really
that's like the
accomplish
first thing
and
you look
you
at every
read
day.
it to yourself. And I think also what he talks about is like you start behaving like the person you want. You will like pretend you already are that person. Like,
Yes. It's like
or
the
ask
saying dress for
yourself,
the job that you want, not the job you have. It's
yes,
literally like pretend you are the person that you want to
what would
be,
that
not the
person do?
person that you are. Right.
Yeah,
Would
I
that
think a
person
way,
hit snooze or would they get up and go to
yes,
the gym?
yes.
Hmm.
Like, what is
You have to like
that
trick yourself.
you
You almost have
do?
to be like a little schizophrenic. Like you have to
No,
like put
literally.
yourself into a different
What
person.
would like
What
business
would
owner Veronica do? Would she
mhm,
lay here on TikTok or would she get up and
do
work
something
out
productive?
and get her coffee? And it's like, oh shit, she would do that. So like start
Mhm.
behaving like that person and then
You
before
almost
you
like
fucking
start to
know
feel
it,
bad. You're like, damn, like
yes,
I do
she
gotta
would
get
do
up and do
that.
that. Hmm.
Yeah. It's like those
That's
videos
a
they put
huge
side
one
by
too.
side of like the 6 to 9 a.m. and the person's like doing all this shit and the other one's laying on their phone and you just see how much shit you could accomplish
Yeah.
if you're not doing that.
Because
Like,
like don't get me wrong, I don't love the saying like we all have the same 24 hours in a day. Because
yeah.
like technically, yeah, we do all have 24 hours in a day, but like there's so many different circumstances that come with
Yeah.
that. But like it really does come down to putting yourself in that mindset of, okay, my alarm went off and I'm gonna go to the gym. Well, I don't really feel like it. I'm gonna hit snooze. Would your best self, would your highest self want that or do that? Like,
Mhm.
no. The person that you want to be would get up and go to the gym.
Yeah.
So it's just
Yeah.
hard because you
You have
literally
to
have to
rewire. It's
put,
so much easier,
yeah.
but the more you do that, the more you're feeding your bad habit where it's going to be so much harder to get out of that habit. And
Mm-hmm.
he said like you don't just drop them, like you have to
Mm-mm.
just rewire them
Yeah.
because it's never going to be like gone, you know?
It's always going to be there. You're always going to want to.
Yeah,
It's like quitting
always.
something, like what you said, like quitting smoking or quitting
Drugs,
drinking. Yeah.
anything.
Like it's the urge
I feel
doesn't
like every
just
day you like
fight that off.
fight it
Hmm.
and
And
yeah, you live to see another day.
it's the same thing with things that aren't that serious, like
Yeah.
going to the gym consistently or creating content consistently. Like,
Mhm.
do I feel like doing it right now? No. But that's why it's more so about discipline than like motivation.
Mhm.
Like it's more so like you
Yeah.
need to discipline yourself into this routine because you're not going to feel motivated every day to do it.
Yeah.
Like you have to
You can't
know
rely on your motivation
you can't, and you
because
can't,
most of the time you're not motivated, like
no, and
ever.
you can't rely on anybody else to be your motivation
Yeah.
either.
Yep.
You're my motivation sometimes.
Baby, I can be your motivation. Go, go, go,
See,
go,
that's why you're my motivation.
go. So, Merry
Merry
Christmas, everyone, by
Christmas.
the way.
Yeah, sorry, we just had to
Yeah, we just realized that this is
yeah,
coming out
on
on
Christmas.
Christmas. So, Merry Christmas.
Mhm.
Relax this
Yes.
week. Enjoy the holiday. Don't put too much pressure on yourself during the holiday season. don't put so much pressure on all your goals for 2024. Keep it realistic. Literally, you can just write down two things for personal and
One
business
thing.
if you want. One, like
One.
literally focus on the smallest things and you could always add to your list, I think is the best way to go because you're more likely to accomplish little things at once. And
Yes.
he even said that in the book again, being like, you need to not have all these goals and be like, I need to do this, this, and this. He's
It's
like, start one thing,
overwhelming.
get good at it. Start another thing, get good
Mhm.
at that. Like, so yeah, don't be overwhelmed this holiday season.
But also, maybe use this time before the new year to set yourself up for success a little bit and
Yeah.
get yourself ahead. But we love you so much. Merry
Love
Christmas if you
you.
celebrate, and
Merry Christmas.
happy everything else. Merry everything always. We love you. We'll
Love
talk to you on New Year's
you.
Day. Damn.
Bye.
Bye.